Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Saturday, November the 18th, race number 8 at Aqueduct. Let's take a look at the field for the $150,000 Artie Schiller Stakes on the turf going 1 mile. Head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com, download your free Formulator past performances, and handicap along with us as we take this field in post-position order. Mike, the number 1 is Night Prowler, one of 2 in here, trained by the great Chad Brown. I've never been a Night Prowler fan, but he is a horse that's always around at the wire, competitive buyer speed figures, and with this post position probably works out a nice trip.
Yeah, some things to like about this. I think I like him more than you do, or at least I did. I thought he was a good 3-year-old, and obviously, you know, he never really got a 4-year-old campaign going. He only got those 3 starts, but I thought he came back really well as a 4-year-old, and he actually ran well in this race at the end of 2016. You know, since he's come back this year for his campaign, his 5 starts, I don't know that I'm still in love with this horse. I don't really like his form since he's come back, but you're right about everything else. I mean, the good trainer, the good rider, the good post, he can get the right trip in this race, and it's not like he doesn't have one in him to be around this thing at the end.
Multiple graded stakes winner as a 3-year-old, 3rd in this race last year, as you mentioned during that abbreviated campaign. We've had some wet weather in New York over the last few days. I think this horse does run well with a little bit of give in the ground. I thought his 3rd in the poker was okay over yielding ground at Belmont. Something to keep an eye on. 5-1 Night Prowler for the familiar team, Javier Castellano, Chad Brown. Formulator fact for the number 2, Fire Away, trained by the great Shug McGahee, 40% positive ROI over the past 2 years with older turf routers off a little layoff in non-graded stakes races. Fire Away perhaps can be categorized as a horse for course. He is 2 for 2 at Aqueduct. He's another horse that wouldn't mind a little bit of give in the ground. I'm interested in your thoughts on his last race, because it looked like he was spinning his wheels in upper stretch and they were getting away from him. But once Johnny V got him into the clear, it looked like he kicked again. We talked about this a little bit before we came on the air. Is he a miler? Is he a 10-furlong horse? What is he?
I don't know. I always thought he was a horse who really got better once Shug stretched him out in distance after his first few starts. They went long with him. Each of his first 3 career wins came, you know, going 10 or 11 furlongs, and it felt like that's what this horse really wanted to do. It hasn't gone so well for him since those 3 wins, I don't think. Your point's well taken about him being 2 for 2 over this turf course, although I personally don't care for either of the races that he won over this turf course. I don't like the fields that he beat either time, but he did get it done, and there's something to be said for horses who like it here. On his last race, I personally felt like maybe the cutback worked against him in that race. I feel like he was in a good spot. He was right alongside the winner at the top of the stretch. He just got outpaced a little bit, like he wasn't going to run at all. And then he started running again at the end, so maybe the sharp cutback from 1.25 miles to a mile hurt him last time, and maybe won't hurt him as much this time. Maybe he's more prepared for it. I don't know, Dad. I could have gone either way on him. He's got races that are certainly good enough if he gets the right trip in this race. I ultimately picked against him, but I'm not going to be surprised if he runs well.
Finished ahead of a couple of these common rivals in that most recent start, although winless from 7 starts this year. He's usually around at the wire. I think you're absolutely right. It comes down to trip. If he gets the right one, he can factor 8-1 on the morning line. The 3 is Hollywood Hideaway, down from Canada for trainer Barb Minchell, who can ship a horse down and win. Didn't she win the Schuylerville with that good 2-year-old filly? Went to the sidelines after that race. I liked Hollywood Hideaway's performance 2 starts back at the Connaught Cup, going 7 furlongs, where I thought he was very conservatively handled, and ended up at the back of the pack in behind horses. And then he came with a solid run to finish 4th behind some decent runners. Only beaten less than 2 last time out in the King Eddie, but that race was way back in July. Now he's got to you know, he's got to run a 2-turn mile, which he's not used to, and he's got to do it off a long layoff.
Yeah, there are things working against him, but he is a horse who's coming in here off of the 2 fastest races of his life, and he's going to be a price in this race. So if you like him, you're not that worried about the layoff for him, then I guess that you just want to take a shot with him because he's fast enough to be at least competitive. And he is in really good form. He was the last time we saw him. I have a tough time with horses like him, Dan. I mean, he's got the 2 best races of his life in races where, you know, he wasn't really a factor at the end of this race. It just almost felt like he sucked up to big figures in graded stakes races, but I'm not so sure that's the case with him. He might be getting better.
10-1 on the morning line for Hollywood Hideaway. The 4 is Wolf Rock. We'll look at the pace projector a little later. Yeah. But I think Wolf Rock's going to go to the front under Nick Juarez here. He certainly has that sort of ability. No match for Tiz a Runner, who we'll get to in a little bit last time out. And I just thought the way that race shaped up, His running style, his trip was better than Tizarunner's. Tizarunner ran him over in the stretch. How is Wolf Rock going to turn the tables? Maybe if he gets loose on the lead?
Yeah, maybe. I looked at him the same way you did, though. I mean, based off that last race, and anybody who's gone back and looked at it, it's pretty hard to want him rather than Tizarunner, unless you just feel like he's going to get such a perfect trip in this race that you have to take him. You know, he's just one of those horses. To me, he's okay. He's just in too tough here.
20-1 on the morning line for Wolf Rock. His last 3 races, far and away the fastest in his career. Black Type is the number 5, and Black Type's a horse that at these middle distances can make hay when he's placed correctly by Christophe Clement, as long as they don't shoot too high. And I was a little worried about Black Type. I liked him in the Lure 3 starts back. When you scored out on Zenner, it was the first time that they tried to get this horse close to the pace, and he didn't fire. I was real disappointed, and of course he's come back and won his next 2 with more aggressive tactics. And I think that's really been the key for Black Type. Big Fig last time out. Let's see him make it 3 in a row.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, for some reason, I'm just not a huge fan of his. But to me, anyway, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but when you go through this field, 1 through 11, it's pretty hard not to keep coming back to Black Type, looking at his last 2 races and even that string of races that he was running at the end of last year and just saying, they have this horse to beat in here. He's got that newfound tactical speed you referenced that's really going to make him tough in here. He's got nothing but races that are pretty much just faster than everything these horses can really run. I mean, he's just a horse to beat. I don't love him in here, but I'm not way against him either.
6 triple-digit Beyers speed figures on his resume, including a 103 Beyer when he was second in this race last year, a race in which he was just rated all the way to the back of the pack and came with a big run, and McKagan just got a tremendous jump on him turning into the stretch. This is a different Black Type, a horse that can be close to the pace, and he got a really nice trip last time out. We'll see if he can replicate it.
I mean, he's coming off of 2 perfect trip wins, but if he's going to get that trip in this race, he's just going to be tough once again.
In some ways, the key to this race is the number 6, Allot, because if the real Allot shows up, he's going to be very salty in here. Allot was good enough to finish second in the Grade 1 4-star Dave in the summer of 2016. He then cut back. He was good enough to be 6-1 in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Nothing's gone right for this horse since. It took Chad Brown almost a year to get him back to the races. I just didn't like the way he fired in that fire away race last time out, where it took him forever to change leads. Very unlike Allot, who's usually just smooth with those lead changes. Plus, there's always been questions about distance. Isn't he more of a 6.5, 7 furlong horse than a pure 2-turn miler?
Yeah, I think so, and I say that even as I recognize that his 4-star Dave, is the fastest figure that he ever ran. That's a 2-turn mile.
And he ran really well that
race. He did run well that day. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I agree with you. I've always sort of looked at him and felt like 6 or 7 furlongs, that's where he's absolutely at his best. I don't know. I'm with you, though. I don't love that it took him almost a year to get back to the races this year. Maybe, listen, it's Chad. He enters him right back in a graded stakes race. Maybe he'll just take a big step forward here and win, but I'm not betting him.
And he's run well second off the layoff in the past, but he's the kind of horse that needs a little pace up front. You've chased the 7 Marengo Road for a long time, and Marengo Road last time out at Keeneland in an allowance race, kind of a little tiny traffic trouble, but I just haven't seen that fire on the turf from him recently. I like you, I liked his win in the Murphy back in May of 2016 and thought he could be a nice little turf horse, and it just hasn't exactly panned out.
No, it hasn't. He looks like he's in a little tough in this race, too. I'm still a fan of his, and I do think he can run well in this race, especially if there's given the ground. He really likes given the ground, but it just feels like he might find a race like this too tough.
Formulator fact for Marengo Road's trainer, Michael Trombetis, is a 5-year sample, only 4% winners off minor layoffs with turf routers in non-graded stakes races, but this horse is 20-1 on the morning line, so take that formulator fact with a grain of salt. Converge, blinkers on here. This is a horse that off the claim was just thrown to the wolves in the Turf Classic. He ran better than a lot of folks expected last time out in the Mohawk when he was beaten less than 5 lengths by the speedy Black Tide. I wouldn't be surprised if he's forward. I'm just not sure if he's ever going to get back to that form of early 2016 when he won the Grade 3 Palm Beach.
Yeah, he's not that horse anymore. Chad gave up on him. He's been claimed a couple times since then. Maybe they'll ride him the way they rode him in the Turf Classic last time and just go on an all-out send for the lead with the blinkers going back on, but even that, I doubt it works for him.
Let's take a look now at the Timeform US pace projector, and our friends at Timeform US, as noted by that blue bar, they believe this race is going to favor horses on or near the early lead, and they project the regally bred number 9 Delta Prince to get to the front. Now, Delta Prince has never been on the lead after the first call in any of his races. I wouldn't be surprised if he allows a horse like the number 4 Wolf Rock or the number 8 Converge to go out there and set the pace for him. Anyway, he's going to be up close to the pace and in with a very good chance when they swing into the stretch.
Probably going to get a really nice trip in this race, whether it's right up on the lead or whether it's tracking some other horse who looks like maybe he's just better than. Either way, that could work out really well for him. I don't know. I think he's one of the ones in here, Dan. I'm not blown away by him. I really did think his first couple of starts on turf, you sort of wanted to keep an eye on this horse and see where he was going to go because he looked pretty good winning those races. I'm not so sure that I feel like he's actually improved all that much. He ran fine in the Baruch last time. There was no way he was going to beat Heart to Heart. Now, I guess he ran fine. I would have liked him to be second in that race.
He didn't beat a strong field 2 starts back. I liked the way he did it off a little bit of a layoff. I liked him and picked him in the Baruch. And although he did earn his career best Beyer speed figure, I don't think he really kicked on that yielding turf course.
That's true.
I think he seemed a little bit uncomfortable. Heart to Heart, of course, very, very good. He came back to run a good second in the Shadwell turf with a 109 Beyer speed figure or something like that.
Yeah.
Delta Prince of the layoff bothers me. Where's he been?
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. I don't know if I feel like he's been entered or at least shopped around in some of the other races, the stakes races they run at Belmont and here, but he didn't run in those races and now he shows up in this spot. And it's a spot, listen, he fits really well in here. It's not like he has to improve a ton to win this race. I wonder how good he actually is.
Monster B, I think, is a little bit underrated, but it must be said he hasn't won a race since opening day of the 2016 Summer Del Mar meet when he took the Oceanside. This is a horse that needs pace in front. Our friends at Timeform US, they do not believe Monster B will get it.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of trip he can work out in here because you're right, the pace could work against him. I think he's a good horse too. I know you think he is. I think he is as well. I've chased him a little bit since that most recent win, which was a long time ago, and I still think he could factor in this race at a price, but I'm not going to take him on top in here.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Artie Schiller Stakes. Mike, you like the 11, Tis a Runner. This horse is seeking his 3rd consecutive win. He's always hinted at potential. Yeah. Now, the question I have for you is, does he get enough pace?
It doesn't seem like he will. I mean, according to that pace projector, is he up against it anyway because he has to improve to win this race, but he's way up against it from a pace dynamic. But we'll just see if he can overcome it, and we'll see if that pace projector maybe isn't quite right. I'm with you. I always liked this horse. I always felt like he had a ton of potential as a 3-year-old. He's come back off a trainer change this year for Mike Maker, and to me, he's even better than he was as a 3-year-old. I mean, he's really improved. Yes, he had a big pace 2 starts back to run into, but he really ran. I don't think he had that big a pace last time. And I know he was far back early. He was last, says 14 lengths out of it, but I didn't think he was outrun in that race. He was last, but he wasn't outrun, and he just powered around that field. He was really impressive. Maybe it's too tough for him, Dan, this spot, but I think he's a good price, and I think he's heading the right way, and I'm going to take a chance with him here.
15-1 on the morning line for the 11, Tis a Runner. Mike's going 11, 5, 2, and 9. I'm hoping Fire Away can work out a trip, and really this race is probably going to come down to trips. I do like the fact he has won at Aqueduct. He does like a little bit of give in the ground. Yeah. He fired a little bit last time out to finish ahead of a couple of these horses. I think he can be closer than where the Timeform US pace projector had him. He's usually a horse that's 4 or 5 lengths off the lead. They have him far back. I think it's up to Johnny V to try to get this horse and motivate him into the race. 2-9-5-6 for me in the Artie Schiller Stakes. If you're playing the Saturday Aqueduct card from home, DRF Bets offers you a $300 sign-up bonus when you go to drf.com/fall and utilize the promo code FALL300. Approximate post time for the Artie Schiller, race number 8 at the Big A on Saturdays, 3:47 Eastern. Best of luck.